she ends up bullying her at that party out of no reason. Like, she just over there and she's just, kind of like you did this and that. So, like, Samantha, yeah, like you said, it's like, because they took this whole season, Cobra Kai, and they just basically said, okay, we're going to make everybody gray area, so nobody is mean, nobody is fully mean, and nobody is fully nice, and we're just going to try to gray up everybody and see who you kind of cheer for. That way, when we reach the end, you'll know that that's the right people still would have won. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah, it just is like, all of a sudden everybody's having different roles, and then you start feeling, then the main thing everybody wanted to see is when they brought back, what's the long-haired dude's name?
John Silver, or Terry Silver.
Everybody kept saying it was the Highlander.
The Highlander.
All of a sudden they brought him back, and all of a sudden him and Kreese are having issues. And you're like, all right, okay, everybody's having problems. There's so many different storylines coming in different directions. Johnny's trying to hook up with Miguel's mom and trying to be a good dad. And a scene where he's like, I want to be a dad to you. When he has a kid. He already has a kid. Yeah. You know, and he doesn't even a dad to him. And then there's just like so many different angles we're taking towards the middle of the season. And then all of a sudden we just jump right into the Valley tournament at the 9th episode. We're just right in it.
Do you feel like the season was too short? Like they could have fleshed some things out more before getting to the tournament? Is that what you feel like, or do you feel like by the time you were ready to end?
They could have done some more, like painting the story. Because what happens is, in the end, they lose, which I think was a good twist. And then all of a sudden you're like, he's over there crying to Miyagi, who has the biggest gravestone I've ever seen anybody in the whole entire grave area. And all of a sudden, the dude from the Karate Kid 2 movies there.
Chosen shows up.
It's like, okay, how many people are we going to hash out and bring back into these shows? Now all of a sudden, you're left hanging. Like, here we come with another...
Yeah, well, they're already filming 5, so they intentionally left all those cliffhangers in place to essentially. Yeah, I think if anything, maybe the season was too busy. I think it's like, okay, maybe you're trying to promise the actor, like the younger LaRusso boy, a kind of a storyline, but like after having nothing for him, the first 3 installments, basically he's just a fat, annoying kid. Now you spend so much time on him. Like, you could have teased it, or you could have developed a little bit of a story kind of moving forward, and you could have used anybody else to kind of bully the new kid Kenny, like anybody from who was already there, like the kid with the redheaded kid with the glasses or whatever, but you bring in LaRusso's son, and then you kind of gray him up since he was already unlikable anyways, but like you spend so much time on him and you're not able to develop some of the other things, like you were saying. Like, I think the stuff with his son, like Johnny's also pining after his son. They even kind of do that where he says his son's name instead of Miguel when he was drunk. But like when the kid comes to his door, he looks like he's bending over backwards for him, but then suddenly he has a thing where he just tells him to get away. Yeah, we have nothing left to talk about. Well, dude, you've been trying to be a dad from the whole time, and then suddenly when he comes angry at your door, now you turn him away. Like, it just nothing seemed to really stay terribly consistent with some of the characters. Like, almost like maybe they tried to add another writer or two, and then I think they need to streamline it where you stay consistent, because, like I said, the Hawk winning should have been cool. I called it before it even came in there. It's just the way they did it really kind of, it's like you gave him a shot of steroids at the end, but really he didn't look like the character, didn't feel like the character, because you emasculated him all the way. Now he did pick on the kid, whatever, but he did have some justification because he thought the Kenny kid was going to attack his buddy. So it's not like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have ran into him at the theater or the drive-in, but it's like, okay, for that, now you have to show that Hawk needs to be knocked down a few pegs by shaving his hawk and losing his confidence. It's just like him winning should have been a bigger deal. And then you kind of made it lame by the end.
They shave with a razor. Didn't have scissors. Didn't have anything laying
I
around.
know, like
They just kind of these kids.
switchblade cuts his hair off, scalps him.
Yeah, and these kids have such a control. They can just shut down a whole tattoo place. Like, fuck, everybody out.
Yeah,
It was just kind of
the kids beat up the tattoo guy and left him outside.
Yeah, they're like, hey, sir, you gotta go. We got a problem here with this kid that's getting a tattoo who's underage.
Yeah, why wouldn't the tattoo guy call the police or have, chase out these kids? They're too tough. They're karate teenagers. I can't do anything against them.
I also didn't like that the mom was super involved. I didn't like that either. Like, the mom was super involved. She became a badass all of a sudden. She's all like confronting this kid, telling her to leave my daughter alone like several times.
Well, yeah, she goes out. She goes out to talk to Robbie right before her matchup, and like suddenly she teleports from the bleachers, and now she's in the locker room telling her to don't. This should be the end between you and my daughter. Like that was stupid. I was like, oh, come on. Like, and then the same thing with the girl who kisses Hawk. Suddenly she can teleport from the bleachers down to. And nobody should be allowed in those areas. It's like, should nobody? I mean,
all of a sudden she's walking on the mat.
Yeah.
Stuff, and they're like,
who are you? I'm the coach. I'm going to kiss Hawk and give him his confidence back.
It seemed like we were jumping so fast trying to get so many things in 10 episodes. And it's like you could have gone 15 episodes. You could have stretched this out longer. You could have tried to build up, all of a sudden we're in the All-Valley tournament quickly. You could have done some things differently.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite season. I think it was kind of there was too much darkness. There was too much storyline trying to relate to everybody. All of a sudden, we're in fucking season 4. Oh, we should the characters should already be established. We shouldn't have to reestablish. Also, Kreese has got a heart, and he's all of a sudden he sees himself going. Yeah, back in 1986, I shouldn't have told Johnny he's a loser. So let the girl do what she wants there, buddy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy's like strong arming his way into being the bad guy, and it's like, he didn't seem like a bad guy in the beginning. He seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, he seemed like somebody who was trying to move on, and it's almost like you're saying that he turns kind of into that because of Kreese's bad influence. But then why are you turning Kreese to be more of a good influence? On the kids, and it's
Kreese is like, I didn't mean to make you bad. Everybody calm down. And then the part I didn't like either is the dude Miguel's fighting, and he jumps in the air and does some kind of like Matrix flipping in the air, and then hurts his back.
Yeah, the watermelon kick he was trying to do.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, this is it. He hurt his back. He did it again. And then they're like, you got to pull muscle, son. You just make a decision. And I thought, what? Then they're like,
yeah, that was kind of lame. I think the cliffhanger should have been, you don't know if he can, if he re-injured it or something. Instead, you make it look like he doesn't, you make Johnny feel like,
be a part of it.
Yeah, like he's just, okay, I'm done,
Yeah.
It just seemed out of character. Like they just did too many things that seemed a little bit too out of character for everybody, and then I think they tried too hard to include the other LaRussos. And it could. I'm not going to say like the actors or actress would ever complain that they wanted a bigger role, but like you could have done that over time. You didn't have to try to make major storyline things for the mom and the LaRusso son just so they don't get mad and leave the show. Like I mean. Like, what the hell? It's like you got way too many things going on.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like everything was coming at different angles, and then it was building up something. Like when Daniel and Johnny are hanging out, he's making Daniel into an evil guy. He's trying to make him into a Cobra Kai. And then that kind of just stopped. Like, all of a sudden it just kind of stopped.
Yeah. I don't understand. They brought her back for the cameo. Did that girl not want to be on the show? They didn't want to bring her back. Is she on some other show? Because she seemed like the perfect person to bring it back into Eagle Fang. But instead, like they treat her as
the girl they went and visited.
Yeah, so the one Sam went to visit, she actually had a nice progression of the story because she was bullied early on, and it just seemed goofy. Okay, you let this, either she left her of her own accord or you let her go. Obviously, she came back. She's not mad. But then, and this show, obviously, they're you could tell they're making the efforts for diversity and stuff, but you already have a good established character, and then it felt like the Kenny character was shoehorned in. And it was like to almost make it like a certain character for Robbie to kind of have,
he didn't even go through his training. Like, you didn't even see if he was training. All of a sudden, he was just everybody's a black belt.
Yeah.
Even the girl that they brought in, the gymnastics girl, they're like, she come in, she can fight. Next thing you know, she's a karate fighter.
Yeah, now she knows exactly how to beat Samantha LaRusso as long as she stays doing Miyagi-Do. Otherwise, she has no clue how to beat her.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, and that part I thought was dumb, too. And they're like, they're doing all our moves. It's like, hey, it's a fight, man.
Yeah.
You don't just, not everything. It's not like you have a script here.
Yeah,
so
like, I can't fight them if they know exactly how I fight. I can't fight them.
Yeah, and then Johnny somehow gets a hold of Daniel's daughter, and she's all of a sudden believing in his style, and it's creating the most tension, and it's like, what the hell's going on? Like, I thought, they were supposed to be together, and then they're not. And then the part that made me laugh during the All Valley is all of a sudden there was other dojos in there that weren't even talked about.
I know, they didn't even introduce them.
People.
But then it looks like they're fighting their own guys. Like, what, white geese are fighting another white gee, and a red Eagle Fang's fighting another red gee. I'm like, are they fighting themselves? What the hell is going on? Are they fighting themselves?
And then the best part was the nerdy dude, all of a sudden became a badass karate fighter, the big tall kid.
Oh, the Dimitri kid?
Like, I don't know if all of a sudden he's a badass. He could do weapons and everything. And then the part that was funny is you saw some dudes in Eagle Fang doing shit that you didn't even know were characters. You're like, are these guys part of their dojo? Who the hell are these guys? So
they're just jabronis on fodder basically for other kids to beat up in advance. Not one dojo.
It kind of felt like
not one dojo is good enough to have anybody get except for like one blue gi girl, I think, made it near, I think, the semifinals or something, but not any of those were good enough to get anywhere near the end. It was just any of those three dojos. Otherwise, they're just going to be beat up by the other guys.
Yeah, I just felt like we were being smashed into a show.
A little bit too much. I think they had just a little bit too much stuff going on. They really needed to make it where you concentrate and stay consistent, like I was saying. Like, Miguel didn't feel like Miguel. Hawk was emasculated, and then they tried to redeem him, but I think it was way too late. I think if you would have used some of the showtime to actually start to build Hawk's confidence back a little bit, it would have been a little bit more believable. And then by the end, he's just some kid with a regular hairstyle. Like, he's Hawk. Let him be Hawk. Even if he grew back his mohawk a little bit after they did that to him, let him, shave his head back into like a Road Warrior's mohawk or something. But yeah, it felt like to me that and trying to not humanize the villains, because it was cool, the relationship with Kreese trying to look out for Tori, that was already established, but you didn't have to go full bore, like now suddenly he cares about Johnny, and he won't let him get beat up by Terry Silver in the dojo. It's like, okay, maybe if you start to tease it a little bit or something, like, he did care about Tori, so you could tell he was kind of treating her kind of like a daughter. He was treating her a little different, but there was nothing really. And maybe he was talking about Robbie being, like that dialogue with Johnny, but it just felt like, it felt like the other stuff. Like, but he's still a dick to the Stingray guy and the Kenny kid he's trying to kick out. So it's like, stay consistent with their fucking personalities. Like, I get it. Okay, he cares about some people, but he's a dick to others. But like, you're trying to establish lines of, okay, why should we care? Why should we not like Cobra Kai then? If you're trying to make some of those characters redeemable, well, why are we going to care when someone beats them then? or care when they win. You know, like obviously you should get the feeling, okay, yeah, the bitch won. You know, now we want to see Samantha rise back up and fight her. Instead, like you said, Samantha was kind of a unlikable character for a lot of the season. You know, they kind of made her where she kind of turned into a little bit of bitch, like counter bullying and just her being lippy. And, you know, she's lippy to both her dad and fucking Johnny. At one point, you don't even know what to make of her, you know? So, yeah. And then Robbie should have won in theory. And I just don't get that. He doesn't take the point because he looks at the Kenny kid. And I'm like, I wanted Hawk to win and picked Hawk to win. I just felt like how they did it was maybe unrealistic because it just looked like nobody should have beat Robbie Keane, and then you have, you know, Hawk come back and beat it. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't seem like that should have went down like that.
No. Very just unrealistic ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But oh well.
I don't mind Cobra Kai winning one of the male and females. I just don't know if they made the right choice on which ones won it, because I felt like if they would have like flipped the script and had the guys finish it off, like I felt like that was what it was leading to. But then when they had them fight first, then I thought what I really thought they might do is have like Eagle Fang win the skills and then have each one win the skills, like have each one win a certain thing. But I didn't realize, you know, when it was all said and done, they were counting points. So I guess neither one of them it wouldn't have ended in a tie like I thought might happen at one point. Each dojo is tied, the major ones.
That was dumb too.
Yeah.
Girls, like, all of a sudden, and they didn't really build up that other girl's character that they brought in. They didn't build her character up very either.
The debate team girl?
She just, they kind of could have built her up more. She seemed kind of like a character you kind of buy into.
Yeah, because he kind of had a badass kind of rapport with her. Like, she would say things that would pop Johnny, and that was kind of funny. Because she was like, yeah, just like in Bloodsport or whatever, and then he just got excited. So it felt like you could have basically built her up to be kind of like a character that Johnny could play off of, you know. I mean, what would you say what was your favorite moment from the season? If you had to pick one, either episode or scene, what sticks out to you as you look back at it?
I think it was funny. The part where he was training Johnny was the funny part, because it was like basically unorthodox training versus how Miyagi dojo training is. It's like climb a chain, walk on coals, like all that stuff, which is kind of funny because it's like all of his training just, you know, and then he gets him in a fight with the hockey players.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty
funny.
Good. Yeah.
He's like, he could kick your ass. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, no, I don't. He goes, that's how you just diffuse it. And then I get the whole thing that they were building up, that like Miyagi Dojo karate is all about defense, where Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang is all about attacking. But I think that was probably the funniest part, because you kind of got into the characters where you related to you're kind of, the reason you're watching this show is to see Johnny and Daniel interact. Like, it's really reason why you're watching Cobra Kai is that the problems between Daniel, Kreese, and Johnny is the only reason you're watching this. You're not really watching it for the storylines of all these kids.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, it kind of goes into a little bit maybe too dark of the place, because now you're they're referencing, and I don't remember Karate Kid 3, so I don't even know if I actually ever seen its full entirety. I just know that, okay, he went into a dark place when he joined Cobra Kai and got super aggressive. So they teased it like he was just, like, you don't get it like he's a super dark man, because like you were saying, he looked like he had got his life kind of somewhat together when Kreese goes to visit him. But then every time Daniel talks about him, he's like talks about him like he's this evil goblin that, oh, he's this dark, he'll take you to the dark. But like anything you see of him, Doesn't say, well, this guy has been manipulated a little bit by Kreese, obviously, but he's not like everything Daniel's saying to him makes Daniel seem like a paranoid, like freaked. He's like talking about he's going to take you to a dark place and this or that, and like all Silver was doing, he was buying him new gear, and he was letting him use the car, and they didn't really show outside of the setup at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So the part with Karate Kid 3 was that dude. What he did is he made Daniel kind of become more aggressive, and he was taking him away from Miyagi-Do. So he got him into like situations just like Johnny did, where he's getting him like angry, and instead of like trying to talk yourself out of the fight, you're just fighting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they were trying to paint that picture what he was doing with Robbie.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like Johnny has a problem with it, and you're like, well, Johnny doesn't even really know this guy. So now you're having like a scene where he's mad at them, and now he goes in, and this dude just attacks Johnny, kicks him once in the face, and he's out for the fucking count.
Yeah. And
it's like that kind of busted my bubble. It's like, geez, Johnny's tougher than that. He fucking got beat up by this dude, and the dude just kind of, I don't know, wasn't even that great. That's that karate. His karate moves were horrible. Like, he wasn't even that good.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had no time to really train to look like that again. If he was ever more of a guy that he was more of a character guy in Karate Kid 3, wasn't he? Or did they really show him as a badass in that movie?
No, he was supposed to take in Johnny and be his like, man, John taking Daniel and be like his mentor and trying to help him and help him understand. He's real compassionate, like he is in this movie where he's like, you guys can have a car and you guys can do all these things, but dude, his karate's terrible and they shouldn't have him fight, and he just doesn't look like a badass, and that's why they try to paint him like he is a badass. Because when you went and saw him and he's in his little mansion, he just seems so passive and like just not who you think he's not who they made him out to be. All of a sudden now he's evil. Yeah,
suddenly because
he wasn't even.
Suddenly he's seen the wine bottle in the cellar and he spin kicked it, and then now suddenly he's back into his old self.
Yeah, all of a sudden he ripped the Band-Aid. He's all ready. So I don't know. I think that character, the twist they put at the end with him screwing over Kreese, just kind of made the character seem even more like just a. I mean, he's not a karate. He just doesn't seem like a karate sensei.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. That spin-off to me is just like he beats up the fat guy. that guy to me. Why did they put that guy back in the
Stingray
spin-off things? Yeah, he doesn't even fit in.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like they tried to shoehorn. Like I said, I think they just tried to shoehorn shit in there. Like his neighbor was obnoxiously fucking a dick. So it was almost like to the point where, okay, yeah, you wanted to see Stingray beat him up, but his neighbor was almost so over the top, like villainously stupid, like neighbor, like it was almost cartoony, like you were saying at the start when we started this. That was really corny, I think, and so was that character. I think in general, he was almost comic relief from the early seasons. Like, wasn't he like the janitor or some lower end teacher or whatever he started out as? Then he got put on probation.
Well, he came in and he was like, he wanted to learn karate, which is cool. And then all of a sudden you just don't see him anymore, like you said, the other characters. And all of a sudden out of nowhere he's coming back in. And you're like, what the hell is he doing a part of this? And then he comes in like an idiot. Like, all of a sudden he's just like, I'm back. You guys need my help. And it's like, what are you talking about? We didn't see you for the first 6 episodes. And all of a sudden you're out of nowhere. You're coming to show up. And then he's hanging out with all these people like he's been around. Like, you don't even know. I totally forgot about that guy.
Yeah, to be honest, I did too. So when they reintroduced, and obviously they're using them for the party, for the way them to part. They used them for elements, but like you said, they they popped him up out of nowhere, and then suddenly now he's a valuable tool in the story after not even seeing him.
He's getting beat up. And everything. It's like, what the hell's going on here? Why the hell all of a sudden that come out of nowhere? It's almost like someone in the writers' meeting says, how can we make a really big twist? Bring back that fat guy from the beginning, and he can come in, and he really wasn't even that great of a character in the last one.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring back the Stingray, and we'll just throw him in, and then we'll just beat him up, and then make him turn on Grease. For what? Yeah, just ugh. So that part bothered me too. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing in here?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
What are you supposed to? How are you supposed to take like Terry Silver's personality? You know, like he was in a whatever better place because he wasn't around Kreese, and then suddenly once he's around Kreese is such a bad influence that he gets to the point where now he's worse than Kreese, and then he gets Kreese incarcerated so he can take over Cobra Kai as the head honcho when he was supposed to just be a partner. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, he's
the money man. So
yeah, he became unhinged. He becomes unhinged, clearly, but it's just weird how they did it.
Where he kept saying, hey, man, how many times you gonna bring up about saving me and Nam? I'm thinking that was a good part of it. It's true. It's all he keeps talking about how he got him out of the cage.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably the best episode of Karate Kid. The Cobra Kai series was the part where they went through Kreese's background.
Yeah. Starting the dojo, that episode.
Yeah, I think that is. I like that. I like that whole. And then they kind of try to rehash it, which I thought was kind of cool. But then it just seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like all of a sudden now it's like it went to a dark side quickly. Like, put on the brakes, we're going to go in a different direction now, and everybody's going to turn on everybody, and everybody's going to be, the people who are mean are going to be nice, and the nice people are going to be angry, and everybody's just going to be, and Daniel's going to cry and go to for some reason he just always goes to Miyagi's grave, and then out of nowhere this dude from Karate Kid 2 shows up who didn't like Daniel in the beginning, but now he's gonna be his friend. It's like, what the
suddenly him and Chosen are best friends, and
yeah, and
you know,
and the thing that's funny is
Chosen's gonna come to California to help you start a new dojo.
Yeah, he's gonna fly here and he's gonna start. We're not gonna do Miyagi Dojo anymore. We're gonna do Mr. Miyagi and Chosen Dojo. So it's not even the same.
Chozo.
So it's just like
Chojo. Chodojo. Welcome to Chodojo.
So here's the part I want to talk about. Do you think that these kids really know karate?
I think they're training them for stunts, but I don't. I think they're. I've watched stuff where they're on wires and stuff, so I don't think so. I think they're there because you got to remember, obviously, from the start of this, you had the characters that look grizzled, LaRusso, Johnny, and Kreese, and then now you brought in these perfectly modeled, fresh faces of all diversities and different things, perfect kids in the LaRusso look, all this. It's almost like they're too gritty, modelly kids. Even Hawk, if you see Hawk outside of his stuff, as the kid looks like, these are just a bunch of like model kids, even Tori, Tori clearly looks her age now. She's like 25 or something. She don't, like, you're showing her in the dress, she looks like she could be married to one of the older guys, or something. So it's like you're trying to,
You're talking about the blonde-haired girl?
Yeah, Tori Nichols, the one in Cobra Kai. So she's too developed, and then she's like 25-something years old. Yeah, she looks like. Now I know some teenagers look more developed, but she clearly looks like an adult now. So it's like whatever you try to do at this point. She has a baby face, but she looks like an adult. So no matter what you do with her, you can't shake that. She looks taller and looks like she's completely out of place there now with them. She's almost like Stingray. Like, what the hell is she doing there? But yeah, I don't think any of them know. To answer your question, I don't think any of them really know karate. They might have done stunt work with but I don't think any of them know how to do it.
No.
Okay.
Now that I got you.
All right.
Johnny actually is a second-degree black belt.
Oh, I know he does. I thought you were talking about the kids.
No,
Okay.
Eli is actually a purple belt.
Really?
He started karate at 8 years old.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So Hawk.
Bobby Keane, Bobby Keane was just a couple ways from being a black belt, and then he quit.
Interesting.
So Robbie actually he's almost a black belt.
Okay. They do look believable. Both of them.
Miguel?
Yeah.
Miguel, what do you think about Miguel?
Not this year's Miguel. Miguel from the other seasons, I would have thought, yeah, maybe he has some training, but this year he doesn't look like he's doing anything. Does he? Does he really have a... No. Yeah.
He has no karate experience whatsoever.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me after this season.
I thought... Robbie, he does look like he knows karate. I watched that kid. He looks...
Yeah, I agree.
Him and Hawk. That's why I think the ending was what the ending was, because they actually looked like it didn't look like Karate Kid.
Yeah.
When you could tell Daniel has no karate experience, but Johnny does. Even in real life, like you could tell that Daniel but these two looked like they actually knew karate.
No, from the stances, and how intense they look. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they do look more. Now, I would have believed more Hawk if you said it than Keane, because Keane looks like he's like baby face, like model kid. But when you see him in the training, he does look believable. So I agree.
The funny thing is could Daniel look any more weirder in his gi and his little tracksuits? I mean, Ralph Macchio needs to work on his body to look a little more like an athlete. He just looks...
He's a car salesman now. What do you expect? He's a car salesman.
He shouldn't even be wearing he's wearing like a tight tracksuit in one of the episodes where it's like, he doesn't even get it off. What are you doing? Let
me ask you this. Like, do you think... I'm pretty sure he's alive. I know his... I don't know if you've seen the dedications, but Johnny's stepdad died at Asner, so he obviously will never return. But somebody else died. I don't know who that was before one of the other episodes. I seen the name really quick, and then I didn't look it up. So I'm not sure which character died I'm assuming from the Karate Kid franchise. It might not be. I mean, obviously the one guy died of cancer for real, his friend in Cobra Kai, but they dedicated the episode like the one girl didn't die, did she?
Who's the one girl?
The one he visited in Japan?
No.
Somebody, I can't remember who died. It's at the beginning of one of the episodes, or maybe it was the end. I'd have to go back and
Rob
look.
Garrison? That's the guy that was in the movie.
Yeah, not the kid.
Olmstead.
It was dedicated to like somebody, and it could have been somebody who did stunt coordinating for all we know. So obviously at Asner they showed the face. You know he passed. But
Albert Olmstead is a camera guy.
Okay, so that's who passed away. Okay. All right. That was the name. I recognize it. So do you think Mike Barnes will show up at some point? Wasn't he the kid that replaced Johnny in Karate Kid 3?
Good question. Let's see. What's his name? Mike Barnes.
So he'd be a little bit younger, so he'd be more in line with like Johnny Lawrence and LaRusso's age to basically look like maybe somebody who might be able to fight them, rather than Terry Silver. A little bit older than them.
Based on the Decider, Karate Kid 3, Daddy Mike Barnes' Cobra Kai debut is inevitable, right? Do you think he's going to be there? I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Turn this whole thing, but that guy had such a... Karate Kid 3 was probably the worst Karate Kid ever.
Karate Kid 3?
It was even... Yeah, it was so bad. So...
Karate Kid 4 was with the girl, right?
Yeah, that was even worse.
They bring her in.
But the worst with the franchise with Daniel. Karate Kid 3 was probably the worst one ever.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think I even ever seen that. My extent of Karate Kid 3 knowledge is from flashbacks, and I might have seen 2 a long time ago, and maybe I fell asleep or something. So 1 is the only thing I kind of base everything off of for me. I seen obviously the beginning of 2, where that fight at the beginning, so I remember that obviously. But So I think I seen that once as a kid.
So
I don't remember it much.
I think they're trying to say that because he said, I think I could dig up a couple friends to help out during your legal problems. They're thinking that's what they're referencing is that kid.
Which kid?
The Barnes. They're thinking they're referencing him to come back for Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Oh, so, well, Barnes was the pupil of Terry Silver, right? So in theory, he would probably try to recruit Mike Barnes, you would think, right?
So that's what they're saying. So what they said is they said that, because in Karate Kid 3, he was like training Johnny because this guy challenged him because he was the new dude coming in, and he wanted to fight for the whatever championship. And this guy was training him, but now you think that he's going to bring him back. It's probably a good chance. I'm kind of thinking they're showing little pictures of him and his little Instagram. He's standing next to a bonsai tree.
Yeah, I would imagine
Cobra Kai series.
Yeah, I would imagine that
if
they would bring him in.
Girl.
Yeah, the 4 girl, I don't know, because she was more tied to Mr. Miyagi than she was to him.
If they bring back Karate Kid 4, that'll be it. We'll stop watching because it'll just be terrible.
They will if like something happens to Ralph Macchio and then they bring the girl in to take over the dojo and marry his wife.
She comes with a whole new family.
Yeah.
She comes with a whole new family. Everything just comes in.
Restarts everything. She's fighting Mike Barnes. It's a rivalry between her and Mike Barnes for some reason.
This thing just is like a vicious circle, and also we're going back to Cobra Kai 1 series, but it's like Cobra Kai 7. We're bringing back everybody from Cobra Kai 1 series that's not been around for a while.
Daniel LaRusso's son, the video game son, is now fighting.
Dude, I loved that when that kid beat the crap out of him in the locker room. That was pretty funny.
Oh, he had it coming, didn't he?
You were trying to hope for you were hoping for some kind of like, hey, do you mind if we kind of hash things out? I'm really sorry, and I think you look good. And the kid just beats the shit out of him. It was like the perfect episode of like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna come in now after I've been bullying you and shit. And I'm just gonna come in and say, dude, you look really good out there fighting. Like he's gonna hit on him. Like you look pretty cool in your outfit. And kid just turns around and beats the shit out of him. That was the best.
Well, yeah.
That kid has a character. Like you could see him being a little badass, but he could be the new Johnny.
Maybe.
Because I didn't understand the whole Robbie coming and crying and trying to hash out stuff all of a sudden.
His character, the character's all over the place. Like, you don't really... It's hard to get attached to a character like that because, okay, he's a pretty boy. So right there he has that going for him, either for the girls watching it or for you to dislike him because he's a pretty boy asshole with an attitude. You know, he looks way too clean cut to be the dirty... on the streets kid that he looked like he was supposed to be. So he never had really any edge to him. He just looked like a pretty boy. Now they started to put him with Miyagi-Do. I felt like that was probably, that matched how the kid looked. He just doesn't look evil. He looks just too much like a pretty boy. It's not that he doesn't look like a badass, because like you said, obviously he's got real training, but it just feels like he's completely miscast, I think. I don't think they know what they fully want to do with him. And in the end, they're fucking with Johnny's character because basically he can't. It's like, he wants to help his son, but then he's torn because, Miguel is kind of his pupil, but he always wants to get reunited with his son. So it's like, it's so freaking confusing what they're trying to do. It's like, okay, he's sappy for his son. Well, that was established up until the point where he tells his son to get away from his thing, I'm like, okay, now you're starting to show that now he's given up on his son, kind of, because they show him he's a little proud when his son's in there, but it's like, it's so inconsistent what they're doing with him, and I just feel like, that's where I feel like you have to just stick with what you're trying to establish. Let some people just be a villain, at least for a while, even though you might understand, okay, the kid's got a rough hand or whatever, but I don't know, he just looks like he's not in... It's like they're trying to jam a square into a circle for his character, and I just feel like it's I don't know. I get it. Johnny and his mom are, they're supposed to be pretty boy, pretty, whatever queen, girl, prom king and queen, whatever they look like, and from the 80s. But he just looked too clean cut. I'm not buying it like he's the street tough kid,
And what happened to bringing back the girl from Karate Kid? I thought that was.
Which one?
Somehow I thought that was painting the love interest.
Oh, Allie.
In the beginning,
right? Allie? Elizabeth Shue?
I thought that was a whole. Yeah, I thought they were bringing that thing in.
I think they got her to agree to come back probably for that one season, but I don't think that you're ever going to see her again. My guess.
Oh, that's right. See, somehow season 3 just kind of blows by my mind. It didn't really adapt to that.
Three was like the Miguel recovery season, and then they're fighting in, the house. Because when did they fight in a school? Was that season? Yeah, that was the end of 2. Okay, but then they do the house fighting where they bust through the house, so that's established, and then Miguel is trying to recover, and he's taking them places to recover. So that was fine. That set up this season like this. You needed another tournament. I think without a tournament, this season probably would have been pretty bad. You needed that tournament at the end to save it, but even then, their decisions were kind of questionable. But I feel like they definitely needed that tournament atmosphere because that was missing like they had in the first one.
I like Tori. I think she's the character Tori and Robbie. I think those two guys are like the characters you would attract to.
So you feel like do you think he's gonna leave Cobra Kai? Or do you think that, because if it's Cobra Kai, I think where they're trying to head back is that eventually you want to see Johnny back in Cobra Kai, and maybe he'll team with a nice Kreese. Maybe that's where they're trying to head, so Johnny could eventually get back into Cobra Kai, because that's the whole point of, that's the whole point, I think. Yeah, so something will happen where Kreese will have to get out of prison when Stingray tells the truth. But I think
they said attempted murder. He got an attempted murder charge for that.
Yeah. So
how did he beat him up so badly and still was able to tell him what to do?
It's a good question.
Hey, if you want to be a part of it, you need to go against me while I beat you into oblivion.
I'm going to beat the hell out of you into a coma, and then when you wake up, you better remember that it's Kreese that beat you up. Otherwise, you're not in Cobra Kai.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat you into just unconsciousness, and then I want you to go on my side. Do you understand me?
As soon as I beat you...
I'm gonna beat you to death. I'm gonna beat you almost to death. You're gonna turn on Kreese, and we're gonna become friends. I don't know if I want to be friends with you. You just beat me to death.
Yeah, our plan is for me to beat you to death, and you blame it on the other guy, and then you're part of Cobra Kai.
Yeah. How does that seem even right? I don't want to be beaten. Did they show him take any medication? Maybe I missed that because I thought maybe he popped a pill or something.
Like, that would have been the only thing that was maybe believable, that maybe Terry Silver went off his medication and he just fucking snapped. Maybe if that was really kind of what was happening, they didn't establish that enough, maybe?
No. So what it was he was getting upset because he thought he was trying to be a good soldier.
Yeah.
Kreese.
Yeah, I get that.
Do what he thought he should do. And then when Kreese was kind of like going wishy-washy about, no, we don't do that anymore. Don't tell people that I have a weakness. Meow, meow, meow. Don't you ever eat my chips. Those are my chips. And it's kind of an attitude like that. I think it just kind of created like the guy didn't know what to do. So he was like frustrated. And then when he tried to beat up Johnny, he thought I don't understand how he thought that's what Kreese wanted. Let's beat up Johnny.
Beat up your son that you adopted and treated like a son. And well, because Johnny won the championship twice, they said. So he has the history of winning it before LaRusso. So obviously there'd be an affinity there for the two, because that was his prize student at one point in time. He won the championship twice. So I get that. Maybe that's not too far-fetched that he cares about him, because obviously that they had a contentious relationship. But I think they maybe went a little too far in that direction in this episode, almost like they were trying to...
The guy's like, this is what you want to do. Don't you want to beat him up? He's like, no. And And then
I didn't say that at all.
I think you want to beat him up. Yeah, and then so that part didn't make any sense. And then the part that was just kind of even more that I didn't like is that Johnny was a champ, and they kept saying with Daniel's 2-time champion. It's like they didn't say it till the very end, but Johnny was a champ too. There, dork. And that whole little board of karate people. That was dumb. I don't know what the point of that was. They all sound like dumb people.
They were like nerds. Like they were nerds.
Totally jumped the shark for me was when they brought in Carrie Underwood.
In a montage.
Like, what are we doing?
Special montage with Carrie Underwood.
She's singing the new You Gotta Be Best. That's what would have been cool. She would have sang that song. You're the best.
Around. No one on the gonna get you down. You're the best.
That would have been funny if she would have sang that.
She should have, and that would have been cool because it would have been set to the highlights of the tournament too, which I was glad of because I was ready to fast forward it. I didn't want to sit through Carrie Underwood singing, and then then it just went through to that.
So again, I understand that we're trying to lead into another one, but I was more like, this episode turned me off. So now I'm no longer a Cobra Kai. I'm not really much of a Cobra Kai fan now.
So the season ruined it for you? This was it? You torpedoed your love for Cobra Kai?
The last one was just kind of like, okay, but this one just kind of changed everything into like, it just doesn't seem like I really feel like we're going in that direction. Then all of a sudden when that dude, what'd you call him from Karate Kid 2?
Chosen?
What's his name? Chosen. Yeah, he's just standing off to the side. It's even more awkward. So Daniel's talking to a gravestone. Like he's talking to me. And he's like, if you could just help me. And then all of a sudden, that dude's just standing on to the side. You're like, wait a minute.
Just he called him up and he just appears from Japan?
Yeah. All of a sudden, he just shows up. And you're like, wait a minute. And then he's just standing off to the side, which is even weirder. Like, you're just standing off to the side. Like, couldn't you be standing next to Daniel while he's talking to this? Like, he's just standing off to the side. Like, and when you're done and the camera pans, I'll be standing here. So, okay, before we finish this thing, Rocky Creed 3, Mr. T.
Is there a Creed 3? I have not seen that. Where did you see that?
Creed 3's coming out. I saw a clip of it. So advertising Creed 3 with Mr. T and his kid.
The son of Mr. T? Oh, that's great. That's what I was hoping for. What's your prescription for tonight's fight? Pain.
Yeah.
Who's playing the son of Mr. T?
My back hurts.
Who's playing? My back hurts. All these chains around my neck are making my back hurt. Too many gold chains.
I saw here it is. Trailer for Creed 3.
There's an actual trailer out for it?
That's what it says.
No way. I haven't seen anything on that at all.
3 years after the loss, Mr. T. Creed. Maybe they're just baiting us.
I think that's wishful thinking. I never heard a confirmation of that. Maybe it's wishful thinking.
I know that Rocky's trying to create another Rocky. I saw that.
An actual Rocky film?
Yeah, another Rocky.
Why did they cast somebody who's not like a physical? They did that Milo guy who was part of the TV show Heroes, and he just was never an imposing figure, and it's almost like you purposely cast the opposite of Rocky. So no matter what he has, he'll never have like a son that will he can never train his own son because his son was always cast to be kind of a weaselly, nerdy computer programmer like type character, so or businessman, so he's never going to have a Rocky Jr. So, like, what are you going to have Rocky doing in there? Almost to the point where, like, okay, we don't want Rocky and Creed because that's, well, why is this Italian guy in there? But, like, All right, so, but even though it works, they made it work. They had good chemistry, but like now we're gonna do old Rocky film where he just hangs out at a senior citizens home, talks about his old fighting days.
For now, it's unclear when Creed began production, but Michael B. Jordan has a packed schedule considering the many delays and production freezes. So the Creed 3 doesn't need to bring back more Rocky characters. Instead, Adonis Creed can deal with his own legacy in a sequel and fight someone completely new.
We'll completely make a new villain. We don't want to make a Rocky villain.
Have ties to the back of the Viking and Rocky's franchise. However, if studio wants to continue to attack Creed to original Rocky series or attach him, bring back Victor Drago in Creed 3 could still be a possibility. I did like that. I did like Creed 2. I thought that was pretty good. I did like that whole tie-in with his dad and the Russian.
See, I think that part where they, like, to tie it to Karate Kid, I think how they did Drago and made him human and how they finished that fight off where he was ostracized from his country, I felt that was doing a villain and humanizing him a little bit right. Almost sort of, even not necessarily that they were good per se, but they had a purpose that they believed in, and you did kind of feel bad for them, but you also understood. Okay, you understood why they were doing it. So how they did that,
here's how dorky it was for me. It actually made me kind of tear up.
Did you for real? Yeah, that was a little sad because they brought back Bridget Nielsen only to kind of make it feel like your mother abandoned you, your country abandoned you. Yeah, that was good. I think Creeds have always been well written. Yeah, he's bawling, Drago showing that he's got a heart, cares about his son. Yeah, they did good.
Yeah, the kid was crying at the end. That just kind of made me feel like, oh, poor kid.
Yeah, they did it.
It's huge.
Yeah, that the writing in Creed has been really good. I think no matter what they do, even if they don't tie it into anything in Creed 3, if they just have the same people involved, it'll be really good. Maybe they should hire them for Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. I think we're losing it. I think we're losing Cobra Kai. That's what makes me mad. Started off kind of cool.
It's all Netflixy now, so Netflix probably has their say in it too. So I wouldn't underestimate their influence on it. To probably Netflix probably trying to tell them, oh, you better bring in this character or this or that. Like the one girl,
watch Boba Fett?
the one girl would have been fine if they would have brought her back. I did. I liked it. I felt like my buddy was saying there was a lot of people complaining different things about him. I'm like, oh, shut up. Like, obviously he's not fully healed for whatever's going on with his life. You know, he was just beat the hell out of after he escaped that Sarlacc pit, and then obviously they started teasing how he became proficient with the staff of the Tusken Raider. I mean, everything was fine to me. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. I liked it when he brought back the little green pig dudes from Jabba,
the Gamorrean guards,
and they become like his protectors.
Save them at the end.
It was
there.
Pretty cool. They're pretty good fighters. It was pretty good. But yeah, I just Boba Fett to me, it seemed there's too many flashback and flash forwards. And can't stay focused on what we're talking about. Which one are we in? Which one are we in?
Well, yeah, I think they did the flashbacks whenever he was in the Bacta tank, though. I think when he got out of there, because that's his dreams or his flashback memories. I think once he was out of there, it was pretty straightforward what was happening, though. So it's like once he goes under, like he's starting to think. But they're trying to tell you a story, so obviously in the expanded lore, he apparently jetpacked out of that pit, but in this story, he flamed through the sides. People were wondering where the stormtrooper came from. There wasn't technically no stormtrooper around, but apparently, I mean, I guess you could say that could have been a sand trooper that fell in there when they were looking for the droids many years ago. So yeah, I mean, you don't know. I mean, I don't think those little things like bothered me. Like apparently they've done bothered a lot of Star Wars fans. I don't know. I tried to objectively look at it and enjoy it. But yeah,
I don't know. I like Boba Fett, so I was trying to I don't really know the whole backstory, so.
Yeah, well, he technically was supposed to have died, but expanded universe stuff, like in novels and stuff, said he did escape from there. So it's just how he escaped is different in this Disney-owned stuff than it did when Lucas still owned the books and all that other stuff, the expanded lore. And so people always kind of understood that he escaped. So they just confirmed it in Mandalorian. You've seen Mandalorian, right? Where he originally returned? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's what I knew. That's why I knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
They showed him in there, and I was like, "Oh, they're going to talk about Boba Fett now," because Boba Fett's like more historical for Star Wars fans, I think, than Mandalorian.
Yeah, and they didn't want to just do Boba Fett right off the start, so they actually put him in the Mandalorian series, which they had more creative freedom over, obviously, but they got you to kind of get hooked into his return, and then they showed him in some of his most badass scenes, with the flamethrower and rocket launcher, all that type of stuff. So, kind of just whet your appetite for the series, kind of, And they're using the same actor that played his dad, in Jango Fett, so. Which makes sense. If he's a clone, he's going to look like him. Otherwise, I would say if he wasn't available, you could have used the real little kid they used, But I guess that wouldn't have made any sense if he didn't look like all the other fucking clones. But it's something to fall back on. If something ever happened to that actor, you could always bring back the actual young Boba Fett actor, since he technically did play him.
So to ask you the question then.
Yes.
Out of 10 stars, what do you give Cobra Kai Season 4?
I think it was entertaining enough to probably at least be like in the 6.5, right? I would say somewhere 6.5 stars. I think there was just, I would say what we were discussing was a lot of flaws. So I don't know if I could put it in the upper percentile towards a 10. I think without the All Valley tournament, if this just would have been another filler season bridging to a new tournament, I think that would have really probably knocked it a few more points down for me. I liked what they did. I don't mind who won. I just feel like I was less annoyed with how they did the Tory thing, because I think they clued it in, like he paid the referee not to count that illegal, accidental quote illegal strike. I'm all right with that. I think Hawks should have been done differently. He should have won. I agree, because I called it before the season. I just felt like how they got there seemed to be a little weird and disjointed. I think if you kind of would have got his confidence back before the actual day of, that would have helped a lot more to get me into it and buy into it. Like he should have won, and I felt like maybe you should have just start that process by giving him like a mini Hawk back by then. But other than that, the other stuff, I get why they were doing it. I just feel like we were saying, just a little too much. You're jamming a little too much and too much gray area. Too much gray, trying to make everybody a tweener to the point where you don't fully. You got to let some characters be villains and let some characters be noble. Let Johnny be Johnny. It's his series. Let Johnny be Johnny. It's his series. You got to have him the focus point and have him be as funny as he's always going to be.
It's what kind of baited us in, right?
Yeah, right? I mean, he's entertaining as hell. He's hilarious.
It's kind of what baited us in with him being Johnny when he's like, and then when they remember he's training them, it's like, punch him in the face, don't be a pussy. Everybody's laughing while they're trying to do like their little meditations. So, I mean, I don't know. It could have been different. So,
yeah.
I think that hopefully they stick with Johnny's character.
I mean, I get what they did. Like at the end, they're not going to just immediately be like kumbaya. So they took what looked like something they established at the end of season 3, and they stretched that out to 4. Okay, they're not going to be all kumbaya. They're going to have philosophy. That's fine. I get that, because they kind of just were showing you that almost like to kind of tease it, but then they kind of had to slow drag that story out because obviously they weren't going to get along. They, magically. So that was pretty much in character. I think a lot of the other stuff was a little out of character or just not believable. Like people walking on the mats to kiss somebody into a inspiration, giving us confidence, or the one mom, suddenly she's backstage in the locker room telling the girl not to hurt my daughter. Like, it's not, if she would have given her a job at the car dealership, maybe I would think they'd have a different relationship. Now she's her boss, and maybe I just felt like, okay, maybe you're trying to get a little too shoehorn yourself into this girl's life, whereas technically you didn't like this girl. Now you're feeling sorry for the girl, and suddenly we established that you had a juvie past to when she looked like she was Miss Goody Two Shoes. So yeah, I think a lot of character mischaracterizations or character flaws maybe that could have helped the season for me.
Yeah.
Wasn't perfect. I agree with you on that. Definitely was not perfect.